being the university president of an institution that is as big and as busy as ours is an incredible demand. And so today we've got our university president, Sheila Gestring, who's going to give us an update on what's going on with USD. Come on up here, Madam President.
Well, thank you, Greg. First, before I really start with an update on what's going on with USD, I wanted to take a minute one more time to thank this group for the $13,000 gift to the Patriots Plaza Project, PPP. Anyway, that project has really gained a lot of support. It was another one of the initiatives during Unite for USD, raised a fair amount of money during that process, and really looking forward to that being an addition on our campus. Some of the other things going on before I get into the main focus today is the National Music Museum expansion, and that's going very, very well. That's going to be a great addition to be able to display so many more of that world-class, priceless collection that we have. We have some fundraising to do there for the displays themselves, so working on some initiatives there to bring those dollars in so that we can display them properly when that's done. The Dakota Dome project, at least David hasn't told me otherwise, but I hear parts are on schedule, parts are not, but ultimately we're going to play at home on September 19th. So really looking forward to seeing that when it's all done. I've been through some pieces of it, and the skeleton of those facilities are what our student athletes deserve. I've been through the locker rooms that we have now and walked out thinking I needed a tetanus shot. So I think this will be a vast improvement. What else is going on campus building-wise? That's most of it, but the one that we're talking about right now is this health sciences building. And the reason this is important is because this is a huge workforce development issue for the state of South Dakota. Healthcare is the second largest industry in this state, and it's a $4.41 billion industry here in South Dakota. And you know, several of you have asked me about my son. I've experienced why it's so critical to have healthcare locally. Just in the last year, my grandmother was being served in Tyndall until she passed in January. My mother has been incredibly unbalanced or something. There's something going on, so she had to go to Mayo, but she gets to have all of her blood tests here locally. I can't imagine my father having to leave the farm and go to Sioux Falls to get all those blood tests every single week. My son was in the emergency room on Monday night, and if we didn't have those services, I can't imagine how a family would get through something like that. So anyway, to the point, 42,000 jobs in the state of South Dakota will be healthcare workers. 14% of the state's workforce is going to be in healthcare. And the state's only comprehensive School of Health Sciences, we have 11 of the fastest growing majors at USD housed in the School of Health Sciences. And the only reason the other two aren't up there is because it's occupational therapy and physical therapy, and we can't grow those without additional state resources. We can't do it on tuition alone. So these are the fastest growing majors on our campus. This is just a quick note, but the driving force behind the growth is the tremendous demand. And these are good jobs. When these students get out, they average about $71,000 a year. And there are wait lists for most of these programs. And right now, we're also placing 63% of these graduates in the state of South Dakota. So our students that come here stay here. And if we didn't have this school, they would undoubtedly leave the state. And with the facility they're in now, that may begin to happen if we don't address this. And if they leave the state, their odds of coming back are not very good. So it's important that we provide the contemporary facilities for them on top of the quality instruction. We took a tour with a handful of legislators back in November, and I think it was a little startling to them to see how bad Julian Hall was. and got the opportunity to say, yes, we are able to recruit our students because of the quality of the program and the instruction, not the facility. So here's what we're looking at. You can see there, the white is the current Lee Medical Building, and the red would be the proposed expansion. It would be 3 stories, 45,000 square feet, connected on the 3rd floor and the 1st floor. So why not the 2nd floor? Well, one, everything costs money, so that would cost a little more, but there are no health sciences utilized facilities in Lee Med on the 2nd floor. On the 3rd floor, it's about half the building that's health sciences currently, and then on the 1st floor, there are some classrooms that are utilized as well. So we want to make sure that we're continuing that synergy there and utilizing the high fidelity sim center in the basement and trying to get the best utilization out of both facilities. And then the last piece there you see is a little yellow box. We're trying to think ahead whenever we're doing anything, and with this program growing so quickly, we wanted to be sure that we left a footprint available for another future expansion if the health sciences programs continue to grow at the rate they're growing. Here are the facilities we're looking to take down. There are actually 3 bills up in the legislature. Senate Bills 40, 41, and 42. 40 is the health sciences building, and that would allow us then to raise Julian and Julian addition. And then we would put a parking lot where those facilities are, which would expand parking on that side of campus dramatically, and I think help quite a bit. The interesting part of that, and I might be getting ahead of myself, but to just keep those 2 buildings alive and running and functional and safe is $18.5 million that we would have to spend to renovate. That's just the roof. It's just the HVAC, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. It's the building envelope. It doesn't even change anything on the inside. $18.5 million. And for reference, the new health sciences building is $22 million. And there is a donor that said, if the state will fund the $5 million that the governor proposed, I will cover $4.5 million. Therefore, it's cheaper to build this building new for state and student HEF dollars. It's at 17.5 then, not 18.5. So logically, if the revenues are there and it appears the one-time money is there, it's actually cheaper to rebuild and tear down Julian and Julian addition. And then you end up with a very efficient, highly utilized, contemporary facility. The other 3 you've seen, I'm sure. We've been told by the Office of Risk Management that they're so bad that we need to take them down. So we're proposing to replace them with some, I don't know, I always call them Morton buildings. I probably get in trouble for using a brand name, but that's most of what I have there on that building. I do want all of you to know that Representative Ray Ring and Senator Art Rush have been amazingly supportive in all of this. And if you see them, thank them, not just for being supportive, but for being outright advocates for these facilities and for our programs. They spend a lot of time and a lot of energy and effort up in Pierre trying to advocate for their district, and I hope all of you appreciate what they do and the time that they put in. So with that, that's my presentation. If you want me to go longer, I can, or I can answer questions, either way. I'm happy to take questions. How's that? Yeah.
I understand there's a bill in the legislature that would restructure the Board of Regents. What are we to make of that?
You know, I haven't really talked to the regents or anyone about that bill specifically. It's interesting. It talks about how it goes back to when that Constitution and piece of the Constitution was originally created, and over time it's expanded from the 5 to the 9. The one piece I really don't like about it is not having a student regent. I think that student voice is critical. And I hope whatever is generating the need for that bill being submitted can get resolved.
It would eliminate the need for bipartisan representation, which probably is in the spirit of one-party rule. And it's a bit troubling, at least to me.
Mm-hmm. Somebody else raised their hand over here.
What is the timeline for tearing down Julian Hall and rebuilding?
Sure, great question. So the way we would do it, the first step is getting the legislature to approve construction and fund the 5 million. If that happens, that would be probably, we should know middle of March, March 13th, I think, somewhere in there. And then we'll go to the Board of Regents, and if they approve, then the next step, that's at the end of March, early April. And probably go through the design process, probably be able to break ground in the spring. And then, so it's about a 3-year process. And where we would put this facility is right next to Lee Medicine, you saw that. And so Julian would stay during that time because, as you saw, there's 2,400 students in health sciences. So we don't have the capacity to disperse them throughout other buildings to take it down at the same time. We'll get them all moved over and then we'll take that down. I would say another year to year and a half after the health sciences building is completed, then we'd be able to take down Julian Addition and have a parking lot there. Yeah.
What's the budget look like for the next academic year as it works its way through the legislature and then the Board of Regents?
So far, there have not been any changes to the governor's recommended budget. And the governor's recommended budget did not cut the general funds. Where higher education had a struggle statewide is enrollments all dropped at virtually every school. So each individual school is working on that. I think USD is fine. I think we've got a good plan. The deans have been great to work with there. But so far, there's not been any inkling to change the general funds in Pier, but that all happens on the last day.
So pray for a snowstorm for that last year?
Yes. Yeah, Mary.
Sheila, what are the health science majors that are located over now over in Julian Hall?
Oh, boy. There's
Well, some of them.
some of them, not all of them are in there. Dental hygiene, some of you may know, is in the basement of East Hall. That's not a very pleasant space for them either. So we would move them into this new facility. Currently in Julian is social work, addiction studies, physician's assistant, nursing. I think those 4, because then and paramedic. We have health sciences predominantly in the business school right now. Dental hygiene is in East Hall. Let's see, med lab science, I think they're in Julian actually, maybe somewhat. They have some presence in Lee Med, but those are the major ones. So, yep.
I remember hearing some discussion about an addition to the wellness center. Where does that stand?
We're in process right now. We're going to submit a plan to the Board of Regents at their April meeting. Right now, we're working on raising the private funds to finish it off. It came in considerably higher for a price tag than we thought it would initially. But the athletics department and fundraisers and I are working right now with some alums to try and bring in the private funds to make up that difference. So with any luck, that one would be 3 years away as well.
Is that also going to have an indoor pool?
Yes, that addition is, at least as currently designed, unless we have to make modifications for budget, it would be an Olympic-sized pool, and then there would be a smaller rec pool, and also a spa slash sauna, steam room. The students were pretty adamant about having those amenities in there, so. And I don't mind the steam room myself.
As you look ahead over the next 5 to 10 years, we talked about the health sciences building, wellness center. What physical space are you projecting that we're going to need to invest in
Well, that's, in this environment, very difficult right now. I think the reason the health sciences building was able to get some legs under it is because you're actually decreasing the footprint, square footage wise. There's a big scrutiny on the square footage and utilization of space. And it's hard to really explain how inefficient older buildings are naturally. You know, you think about some of the offices that are in those, and you can't really take down the walls because some are support walls, and you can't really do anything to modify the inside of a building, so then it comes across as really inefficient. And some of those buildings, you know, are architecturally significant. I mean, we're never gonna take down the old law school, but it's not the most efficient setup I've ever seen in a building either. So it's hard to have that conversation. And then now that the state is funding maintenance and repair, they're especially in tune to the amount of square footage that we have because that drives the funding piece of it. So usually when I talk with individuals, I try to encourage them to find a way to make or create a plan that creates efficiencies. And if we can demonstrate that, I can at least get an audience and an ear. So I'd love to have a new STEM building. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but we'll work on a plan for that. There are a few buildings that are just simply not architecturally significant, and I think Akeley Lawrence is the one. We've put so much money into that, and it's still just not great. But they will look at that as well. Legislators will pay attention if you've put maintenance and repair dollars into it. Mm-hmm.
In addition to the health science growth that you mentioned, are you of the opinion USD needs additional new majors and programs in order to maintain enrollment stability?
You know, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure that we need new majors. I think if we're going to do that, we have to be very careful about how we add them. Some majors, you can actually get enough enrollment to then generate back to campus. Some majors you're just taking from another major on campus. I think we saw a lot of that with health sciences. I think we saw even a little bit more of that with medical biology. We didn't really increase the numbers, it's just now we have fewer general biology majors and the same number of total. So it would have to be something, I think, really significantly different than what we already currently offer. I think our growth is going to come if we get needs-based, state-funded scholarships for students, financial aid. Mm-hmm.
Are there any other buildings or facilities, short-term and long-term, need to be expanded or enhanced or modified?
Sure. Well, I think the ones I touched on here, those are kind of your near term, but longer term, and this is nothing more than a wish list at this point. We haven't even finished the strategic plan, so I haven't even had a chance to talk with campus about it. But if in my dream world, and if it were all feasible, a new science building, STEM facility, I would say the third addition to the wellness center, because we do need more courts. Those are booked constantly. I mean, you can't hardly get on a basketball court over there. I would love to have an indoor tennis facility that also would house golf simulation as well as some batting cages for softball so that they had a better facility for the winter. Those are probably the three big ones for me. I'd love to have the money to really, truly do East Hall, Dakota Hall, the old law school, do some really cool renovations in those facilities because they are beautiful buildings. Yeah.
What about Notable?
Notaboom is going to exist as our swing space for a while. I was talking about how we can't uproot 2,400 students. Well, if we're going to do some of these renovations in these architecturally significant buildings, we'll need to temporarily locate people for a period of time. But yeah, right now it's going to be, well, in a few years, it'll be our swing space. Yeah.
Could you share with us about your favorite subject, parking?
What would you like to know about parking?
Are we gonna get more parking?
If I get my new health sciences building, that produces more parking spots, so yes. We are also going to add parking south of the SCSC, the new arena. Occupational therapy, kinesiology, and physical therapy have both expressed a need for that pretty significantly, and both stepped up and are helping to fund that. And then I think we'll actually be able to expand tailgating once the dome's open, so there will be some benefit there as well. Other than that, we're pretty landlocked. I'm not certain where else to put a parking lot.
What about during the 3 years it's going to take to build and demolish?
That's going to be painful. It's just going to be really, pardon our progress, will be everywhere. What will, and we have talked about that too. I think what we're going to try and do is run Charlie carts from over by the Coyote Village back and forth. But we need to have a plan there because it's probably, what, 50 spots right now or more?
I've had many people sit on Senate, many people come to me and say, can we get just faculty parking, not everybody parking?
Yeah. I don't think we'll be able to park anywhere during that construction, so. Anything else? Well, yeah.
Is fine arts on any long-term expansion?
Right now, they're talking about what they would like to have. The challenge with fine art, I'm glad you brought that up. We do have 3 significant renovation projects going on, and I guess once they're approved, they leave my mind. But I'm excited to see they'll have a complete renovation of Knutson Hall, and then the following summer will be Colton Hall, and then we're going to do some outdoor sculpture space for them because right now they're having to do their iron pours in a parking lot. So that's the near-term plan. They're working on a long-term plan. They've submitted one, but I'd like them to take another closer look for a couple reasons. One, it goes back to what I was mentioning to Tim over here. It adds a lot of square footage, and there are considerably fewer students in that facility now than when it was built. So that's a tough sell. So in some way, shape, or form, I need to figure out that case, or maybe we can figure out how to utilize spaces for dual purposes. So I'm asking them to go back on that. And the other piece is the fundraising. We have to put together some sort of private fundraising plan there. You know, we went and looked at all the facilities that have been built with the Regental schools, and I think just about every single one of them had private money involved. You know, just comparing fine arts facilities, the one in Brookings, 75% private money, and the one in Northern, 50% private money. We can't even come to the table until we figured out how much private dollars can be raised there, so. Okay, well, thank you, and thanks again for all your support.